Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. It's Monday. It's time to roll up our sleeves and get to work. Here in Oklahoma, we have another week of extreme heat and humidity. The weatherman said last night that he wouldn't be surprised this week if we have humidity pushing, or not humidity, but the heat index pushing 116. I don't know about you guys, but to me that's really hot. And so after we get our chores done and we look to the garden and the things that just have to be done, we are back in the house because we just can't, those temperatures are dangerous temperatures. And so once canning is done for the day, then it's time to do other projects. And for me, it's time to clean out my pantry. Now, I preach to you guys to look well to the ways of your household, and that's part of that is taking care of your pantry, stocking your pantry, and I have lots of pantry stock. But in the busy parts of the year and the garden season, things get out of control, and I just push stuff up on the shelf, and I don't properly store it, and that can lead to some problems. You can get rodents. And you can get bugs if you're not careful, and so we don't want those kind of things. Every product that you come up against that hasn't been stored properly and has went stale, or it's gotten pantry moths in it, or whatever the case may be, and it has to be thrown away, that's money that is leaving your hands and being thrown into the trash. And we don't want that. We want you to save money. We want you to have a well-stocked pantry. We want you to have that peace of mind knowing that you don't have to get out and get in all the big mess of things that seems like is going on around us all over. You know, the chaos and the turmoil. You buy these things at a price, and in a few weeks the prices are even higher. So you want to protect that product and not throw it in the trash. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to show you some of the things that I need to get packaged properly so that they'll last. And so I'll turn the camera around and we'll get started on some of these things. Now, just to save us a little bit of time today, I'm going to be packaging things in these half-gallon jars and other canning jars, and some of my jars that I've made a video before where I show you how I save glass jars. For instance, I found a jar of lemon juice that is well past its expiration date, and I just don't like the appearance of it, and so I will be dumping this. But I won't throw this jar away. It's a glass jar, so it'll get washed thoroughly and dried thoroughly before you put any product in it. You want to make sure that it's clean, that it's sanitized, and it's completely dry, bottle and lid. And then what I will do is put product in this, and I'll use my food saver canister that I've showed you before to seal some of these things. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take care of these crackers. Need to be stored properly. You know, they can keep on the shelf for a while in the box, but I don't like keeping them that way because I live in the country and I have problems sometimes with a mouse getting in here. A field mouse, you know, it just happens. And you live on a farm, and I'm sure it happens to you in the city too. And I don't want to go and need crackers for a recipe or for something that I'm serving and someone wants crackers with it, and a mouse has been chewing into the package, and then I don't have something to serve my guests. And nothing to me is worse than a stale cracker. So I'm going to be storing these crackers. I also found 2 packages of the little club crackers, and I don't like keeping these up on the shelf. I'm going to store these the proper way. Other things that I'm going to be storing today in glass containers is just things that I like to know that I store it in glass, and it just seems like it lasts a little bit longer. Now, this package is a package of sunflower kernels. The expiration date is October of this year, but I don't like leaving it on the shelf in this. You know, a mouse likes to eat these things. Not only that, I don't want anything going wrong with it as far as its taste. I want it to taste good when I'm ready to top a salad with it. Same with slivered almonds. You know, putting them in a package like this, or having them in a package like this and putting them on the shelf, you're asking for trouble. Another thing that I'm going to be storing properly today is this half-used bag of chocolate chips. Now, I get my chocolate chips and I store them in glass jars, just like these other products that I'm going to show you today. But I usually bring in several at a time because I like to be stocked up. Now, my mother-in-law, she puts hers in the freezer, and I do have some in my freezer. But I like to have them on my shelf as well. Chocolate chips, semi-chocolate chips, white chocolate chips. I just like to have an array of them. When I bring them in, and I bring in several bags, I usually have a bag disappear. Used to, I blamed it on Howie and Blade. And since I lost my little Howie, poor little Blade gets all the blame for getting into these bags of chocolate chips. And I have tried his entire life to break him of getting into my chocolate chips, because this is part of my supply, part of my store, so that I know that I have enough. So I guess he's 22, has a baby on the way, and he hasn't broke the habit yet, and Howie was 51. So they like chocolate chips, but I can't leave it on the shelf stored like this. So this is going to go in a small jar and go up on the shelf. Other things that I have here is my powdered sugar and my brown sugar. Now, I have a jar for each of these, and I can guarantee you what has happened is I was in the middle of making a recipe and used all of one or the other that I had in the jar stored, and so I quickly grabbed the bag off the shelf, opened it up, and used it, cleaned the bag off, put it in the shelf, thinking I'll get back to it after we get back from wherever we were going, and I was taking a dessert. And I left it there and forgot about it. Well, these pose a problem. And so today, these will get bagged up, and I'll show you how I store my brown sugar and my powdered sugar. Also know that you don't have to buy your brown sugar like this. You can make your own brown sugar. It's very simple by adding molasses to white sugar and blending it up. You can make light molasses, you can make dark molasses. So always keep that in mind. If you run out of this, there's an easy way to make brown sugar. Let's see. What else have I got here that I'm ashamed to show you? Okay. Here's the next thing. Flour. You do not want to put your flour on your shelf and leave it. You're going to get a problem. You're going to get bugs in your flour. Now, most products like this, flours, cornmeals, any kind of thing like that, potato flakes, instant potato flakes, all of those kind of things are probably going to come home from the grocery store with eggs already in them. So the thing to do is put them in the freezer. I put mine bags in the freezer for 3 days. And let that freezer take care of killing those eggs. And then I take the bags out and I let them come to room temperature, completely room temperature, and then I put them in containers so that they cannot be used or cannot be gotten to by bugs, pantry moths, mice, whatever. And I'll tell you, on products like this, it's just as small like this, I put it in a container and I cycle through this really fast, and so I don't worry about putting my food saver on it and sealing it up. If it was a bigger quantity, if I was getting enough of it to put in a bucket with a Mylar bag and the little oxygen absorbers, that would be a different way to store the product. But today I'm just simply showing you my working pantry, the things that I keep on hand day to day. There's other pantries that I have, and I'm sure that most of you have, that are long-term storage pantries, and there's things that you don't get into as often, but you get in and you rotate your stock. Now, some of you are old hands and you're more experienced than I am, and you're probably wondering, why in the world is she doing this? Because there's a lot of people that are just getting started and they need some help and some guidance, and so that's why we're here. We're here to try to show you the things to do to extend the life of your products and to make it simpler on you, because we all need to look well to the ways of our household, but we also need to be able to have that peace of mind and not stress. Don't add any more stress to ourselves than is necessary. We know that we're running all over trying to find the best bargains and the best deals to make sure that we're well stocked. So let's learn to keep those things in a good storage manner. Make sure when you put your products in your jars that you label your jar. Now, I would probably be the first one to admit that I make mistakes, and I have put things in jar before and I've said, oh, I'll remember what that is, no problem. Well, if you have something like this, like slivered almonds, you can look at that in that jar and you can say, oh yeah, that's slivered almonds, I've got it. But if you're looking at a powder, you're looking at a spice, you're looking at something else, you know, you might be able to take the lid off the jar and smell it and be able to tell. But with your family members, you have to look at things now. What if something has happened and you can't get home and your family members are trying to prepare meals from themselves? Can they look at those products on your shelf in their jars and know what those products are, and be safe and be able to make a good tummy filling recipe? They can if the jars are labeled correctly. Now I'll just show you. I have 2 jars here, 2 different jars, but the product looks similar. They're slightly different in color, but they look similar. Both of them are light pink in color. And if I told, say for instance, my daughter-in-law Cheyenne, if I told her, go, what you'll need is pink salt, and if she said, well, what is pink salt? And I would tell her, well, it's salt, but it's got a pink color and it's grainy and it's on the shelf in a glass jar. Okay, if she went up there and she saw both of these jars, what if she just saw one of the jar? What if she just saw the jar that it's not the pink salt, but she grabbed it? Or what if she was making the other product, and I'll tell you, one of these products is pink lemonade concentrate and the other one is pink salt. But if she didn't know that I had both of those jars up there on the shelf, and I told her to get the pink lemonade concentrate and make a gallon of pink lemonade for supper, and she grabbed the pink salt, well, aren't we going to be in for a surprise? So always make sure that you label your jars. This one is the strawberry lemonade concentrate, pink, and this is the pink salt. So I make sure that you can put the name on the top on both jars, but also put the name on the jar. You'll save yourself a whole lot of problems if you label the jars, so that you and everybody else that's using products off of your shelf will guarantee that they grab the right thing. Okay guys, it took me a little while, but I've got most of my things packaged up and ready to go on the shelf, where they're going to be shelf stable and they're going to be rodent free and bug free. And I kind of wanted to show you what I've got. Now remember that brown sugar and the powdered sugar, I keep multiple amounts of powdered sugar and brown sugar. Now in my working pantry, and that's what this stuff is going to be today, some of it I do have some things that are going to go out into my long-term storage, but my working pantry, I keep a jar this size of powdered sugar, and that's what I did. I put the powdered sugar in here, and I just use one of these plastic tops because I'm in there all the time, and so I don't really worry about having the metal top, and I don't use a food saver and seal my sugar either. I just keep it in there. And so I have one that's the powdered sugar, and then I have another that I put my brown sugar in, and I just can simply keep them back here in this pantry, and so I have easy access to it. Now I also have other powdered sugar and brown sugar in bigger containers out in my long-term storage, and I rotate those out. And throughout the year I look for good deals on powdered sugar, especially brown sugar. You can find really good deals, and sometimes it's a good deal, it's a really good deal, and I'll go ahead and buy the brown sugar. But remember what I told you about being able to make brown sugar just simply by adding molasses to your regular granulated sugar and blending it up and having your own. So if you ever need brown sugar in a recipe and you don't have it, well, just keep in mind that you can make it out of your sugar and your molasses. So that's another reason to keep molasses on your shelf. But that's my the sugar and the brown sugar. The self-rising flour. Now remember to put your flour in the freezer for 3 days. All of your bulk products that are powdered like that, even cereals, some things I put in the freezer, noodles, to kill any kind of bugs that might be in them. Then take them out and let them come to room temperature. This is my self-rising flour. Now remember too that I've got to put a label on this, because even I can make a mistake and grab this thinking that it's all-purpose flour, and this is my self-rising flour. And I go through it so fast that having it in a container like this has never really been an issue for me. But you can get the glass cracker jars if you if that's what you want to use, or you can use the half-gallon canning jars if you want to do that. Pardon me. But I just simply use this, and I go through it fast enough, quick enough. My flour, my self-rising flour, the sugar, I have a container like this for sugar as well, and then I have a smaller container for cornmeal, because I don't use the cornmeal as much. And cornmeal that's already been ground up, cornmeal doesn't keep as long as some of the other ones do, but I cycle through it fast enough that it doesn't ever really become a problem for me. And I already talked to you about labeling so you don't get the products that look alike mixed up. Here's the chocolate chips, remember the half bag of chocolate chips? I just found a little jar that had relish or something in it. Now I've got my chocolate chips in it, got it put in here. And if I'm not going to use this quickly, then I'll use my food saver, the canister, and put it inside the canister and seal it up so that they'll stay fresh. Now this is the sunflower seeds. Now I have an extra refrigerator on my back porch, because the refrigerator that I have is a side-by-side refrigerator, but it's a small one for mobile homes, and so it doesn't really give me all of the storage space that I need for a refrigerator, and I like having that extra room. So on my porch I have a second refrigerator, and these sunflower seeds and the nuts, the slivered almonds, the macadamia nuts, all of the different kinds of nuts, and my coconut are all going to be stored in the refrigerator so that they're stay nice and cool. They won't they'll last longer in there, and so that's how I'm choosing to seal those. Now sometimes we have snacks, and we have a bunch of bags of leftover snacks, and this is, I know you can't tell what it is, but this is a bag, a jar of those little it's in the mixes where it's got the little pretzels and all the little pieces. I can't remember the name of it now, but these are the little rye pieces. Now this is the only, I don't like rye bread, but I like these, and so I had a little bag of these left over, and I don't like to leave just little bags in there, because that'll cause a problem too in a pantry. So I have these little jars, so I just have it in here, and I can see what it is, put a label on it so that anybody else that's looking at it can say, oh yeah, that's whatever kind of chips these are. Obviously I can't remember the name of them right now, but that's another thing, another way to store. I just have a plastic lid on this, is because this is something that I want to encourage not only myself but my family members to go ahead and get this consumed, because it's not a long-term storage item. It's something that we're enjoying now, and it'll be gone in a little while. Some of the other things, I have to go and get a ring, but this is croutons for salads or for whatever you need croutons for. Another thing that was in a bag, another thing that I put in a jar. I'll seal this with my food saver, and then it'll stay nice and fresh. Now this is something that, you know, you get on a salad kick and you may use these every day, but I still like them to be fresh and crisp. And I feel like if you didn't store these with use your food saver to where they're sealed down, that they might go stale before you could get them used up, and it would just be a waste. So these will definitely get stored with the food saver. Now I know you guys are thinking, why is she telling us all this stuff? Because I want you to see that it's really easy to store your stuff, not long term but longer term, in your everyday pantry, so that things are nice and fresh. Marshmallows, little miniature marshmallows. Howie loved these in his hot chocolate. Blade likes them, and so I keep them on hand. These are not the mini marshmallows that you buy. These are the super teeny tiny marshmallows that they like in their cocoa, and so I keep that on the shelf for them. And it comes in a plastic container that I get from the Amish store when I go up there. A little square. Hold on just a second and I'll show it to you, because I got to get another jar out and but store some more. Comes in a container like this, and you can see that I still have enough left to fill another jar. And this cost me $3 for a full container, and it'll last quite a little while, especially now that it's not hot chocolate season. Those won't get touched until fall, and so we definitely want to keep them stored in a jar, keep them sealed with the food saver so that they stay fresh. Other things that you can store includes oatmeal. Now I wanted to show you, oatmeal is another thing that I put in the freezer and let it set for 3 days, and then take it out, let it come to room temperature, and jar it up. Now I have different ways. I have a canister that's for oatmeal, but I like to keep oatmeal on hand. And so in the long-term pantry that's not located here in the house, I store the oatmeal in these half-gallon jars, and I have quite a few. Now this is old-fashioned rolled oats, but I also have quick oats, and that's what I have here. These two, this size here, I'll put on my pantry shelf, because I have a lot of things that's in my everyday pantry, and I don't necessarily have room for all of the half-gallon containers if I put everything in there. So I use these smaller jars. Now this one was a pickle jar, and it's got old-fashioned rolled oats in it. This, I don't know what kind of jar this was, spaghetti sauce or something. And anyway, yeah, it was Prego spaghetti sauce. And this has the quick oats in it. Now I know from being a cook for a long time, looking at this, I can tell the difference in old-fashioned, and I can tell that this is quick oats. And most people that look at it can see, okay, well, they're both oatmeal, but what's the difference here other than that? And if you're not an experienced cook, you might not really know what the difference in the two is, and the cooking process, that this takes longer to cook than this does. This you want to use in some recipes, and this is better in other recipes. So make sure that you get those jars labeled, what they are, the products that they are. Another thing that you can put on your shelf in a jar is cereals. Now, I know people are probably thinking, boy, that's a lot of processed food. And it is processed. Some of it's processed food. I do have cereals and I do have crackers. Are they necessarily long-term? Not necessarily. But these are things that my family enjoy having, and I want to have some things that they enjoy. And so I keep cereal stocked. Now, this will go on my pantry shelf. It's a quart jar, several servings. It can be, you want to make sure that you get your food saver out and you pull a vacuum on these so that they'll stay fresh. Now, if you're going to eat it within the week, I wouldn't worry about doing the food saver. But if you're going to put it on the shelf for it to last a long time, then I would do that. And I have some big jars of it, and I'll put these out on my long-term shelf. Now, is it gonna be long-term 6, 7, 8 years? No, but longer term than what this back here provides for me. This is a lot of this is ingredients, things that I can pull off the shelf and I can make whatever it is. And so I need room in my extended pantry for things like this. And you know, right now the prices of things are going up, so if you can find a good deal on something, get it and put it in something that it can't be bugged and the mice can't get to it. If you put a bag of cereal or a box of cereal out in your long-term storage, a bug, a mouse, it's going to get a hole in it, it's going to go stale, and you've just wasted money. So go ahead and do that long term. Those jars are reusable over and over and over. The jar lids, just pulling a vacuum on a jar doesn't ruin the jar lid. You can empty that jar and refill it bunches and bunches of times. And so those are reusable, refillable, and I like to use those. Something else, again, not long-term food storage, but I like putting the crackers in there and pulling a vacuum on them because they won't be stale. The boxes and the bags, you run a risk of rodents again, and you also run a risk of them going stale, and I do not like stale crackers. In the wintertime, when I'm not feeling well, I like tomato soup, and I like crackers with it, and I want a crisp cracker. I don't want a stale cracker. So same principle again. You put them in there, pull a vacuum on it, and your crackers will stay. They won't go stale. So other things that I put in my jars for in here on my ingredients shelf in my short-term pantry and out in my extended pantry are items that I use for canning and preserving. And this particular item I'll use this summer, and I have it in a quart jar, but I also have a half-gallon jar of it that I'll store out on my long-term storage. And this is pickle crisp crystals that make your dill pickles stay crisp. And I got this particular bag from Hoosier Hill Farms, and it was a big bag. It was enough to fill this quart, and I filled a half-gallon. So you can see how much product that I got in one container. And I like buying my items like this bulk. It seems like you save a lot of money getting it this way rather than buying the little containers of it. And so I keep pickle crisp. Now that's a brand name. That's not, I don't think that's what Hoosier Hills calls it, but that's one of the brand names of it. And this is a fruit pectin, like on the lines of Sure Gel. I buy it bulk from Hoosier Hills, and I like having it because I know I don't like messing with those little boxes. I know that that this takes a certain amount of teaspoons or tablespoons, whatever it is that you're making, to set your jelly, and I like having it. It's a security for me, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give ourselves peace of mind, security, and save money, and keeping rodents and bugs out of our food. Well, I could ramble on and on and on, guys, and show you all kinds of things that I store in jars, and it's fun, it's security, it's safety, it's peace of mind, and looking well to the ways of our household. So I hope you guys got something out of this. If nothing else, maybe it's just a prompting to clean out your pantry I looked at mine and I thought, oh boy, if my friends could see this pantry, they would just shake their heads. And pardon me, I had a little bit of work to do. And so I've set about doing it, and I've got my pantry. I just got to get all this stuff labeled, get it into my pantry, and I can go on to the next project. I hope you guys have a good day today and that you stay cool. Quick little story before I go, just to give you a little chuckle. I can tell it's Monday. I got out and got my, I was going to have a bowl of cereal. I had just enough grape nuts for one more bowl. Got my cereal poured my milk on it, and I was looking at it and I thought, that kind of looks funny, kind of looks thick. And I had poured buttermilk on my cereal. So I didn't get any cereal this morning for breakfast. I had to do something different. And I hope you enjoy that. I hope you get a little chuckle of it. And I'll see you next time, guys. This is Josie from Cedar Creek Homestead. I love you. I really do. We're gone.